Oh Lord. What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We are here to talk about the Real Housewives of Miami season 7 reunion part 1. Come on in, come on in, come on in, you guys. Listen. You listening to Pam? Well, keep me posted. I was listening to Pam too, child. Pam done put in an 8-hour workday over there, honey. Y'all keep me posted if there's anything to be gleaned. Um, I'm sure as soon as the verdict, I mean not verdict, I'm sure as soon as the judge makes his decision, everybody's gonna be talking about it. So Quake, keep me posted. Hey Cajun, hey Cheryl, Sleepy, what's going on, you guys? So last night was the Real Housewives of Miami reunion, and baby, I listen. I mean, I'm gonna say it didn't disappoint. We'll get to the mic drop at the end. But first, y'all know how it goes. All the ladies show up and they're getting in their makeup. Julia has a whole breakdown backstage because she says that, all the mean things that everybody's been saying about her, and it's just affected her, and her family have been getting threats online and things of that nature. Um, Larsa bought her new boy toy, child. It's 3 parts, but honestly, part 1 was actually pretty decent. Usually part 1 and part 3 are the best. Part 2 is usually where it's kind of like blah, blah, blah. I still don't understand why Stephanie got first chair. The only thing I can think of is there's something we don't know. Like something that's going to drop in episode 2 or 3, because I didn't see anything in episode 1 where Stephanie should have got first chair. Certainly not over Gertie and Julia, since we spent damn near the whole first part of this episode on Julia and Gertie. I just don't understand it. I understand why Alexia and Marisol are the OGs, so I kind of get it with Alexia. Because Marisol technically is a friend of, Adriana is technically a friend of, so Alexia and Lisa are like the OGs full time. So if you had Lisa and Alexia in the first chair, okay, maybe, but just to have Alexia in first chair, and I'm just like, why? But again, maybe we'll find out something in part 2 and part 3 that make me change my mind. But as of right now, I don't understand. So then we see Adriana bought her dog, and she wanted to bring her dog on stage as her emotional support dog, and production was like, yeah, we're not doing that. They were like, it's too distracted, it's too much with a dog, we're not doing a dog. Because let's be clear, first of all, I think the biggest thing is they didn't want to set that precedent, because all these women have these little toy dogs. So I can only imagine if they had let Adriana sit there with that dog, I can only imagine where this would have ended up with all of the Housewives franchises and their damn dogs. Okay, we've already had them bringing their dogs backstage and keeping them backstage. So no, Adriana, you cannot have your dog. And why, girl? Only thing I came up with was everyone was across from the one they were fussing with. I got that too, sure, but I still feel like it should have been Gertie and Julia. I feel like the biggest feud this season was Gertie and Julia, Lisa and Larsa. Oh, I take that back. Larsa's an OG too. So if it had been Lisa and Larsa, I might have been like, maybe. But Stephanie and Alexia, yeah, made no sense to me. So we start off with right, yeah. Either LVP, LVP didn't even have her dogs on stage. Like, and if it's anybody that was gonna have their dog on stage, it'd have been Lisa. So we start this episode. I still don't get the color scheme and the outfits, and no, I don't feel any different. Seeing the outfits on camera, I do not feel any different. I will say this: Kiki's outfit is growing on me. Kiki, I think, was my third anyway, but it's just giving me very much 1980s Dominique Devereaux Dynasty, and I'm kind of grown. Kiki's outfit is kind of growing on me. I will say that, but none of the other ladies' outfits grew on me once I saw them in person. Lisa's dress is more detailed than the picture let on, but I still don't feel like that was anything. Like, I still feel like that's something she had in her closet. You know what I mean? Not Miss Roper. Oh Lord, not Miss Roper. See, I was giving her Dominique. Cheryl was giving her Miss Roper. Okay, girl. Okay, girl. Basically, we go through the pleasantries. Y'all know how it is. Yeah. So we talked to Alexia about Todd. Alexia says that the divorce is final. Her and Todd do not speak anymore. She has him blocked on all social media, and she said that it is just cold turkey, and that's the way it has to be. Marisol kind of let us in a little bit more on how bad things were behind the scenes with Alexia. She said that Todd would pick fights with her before every reunion. I don't mean no harm, but it's been two. And I'm not saying like that's not okay. I mean, I'm not, like that is okay. But you made it seem like this has been going on for 10 years. It was 2 reunions. And that second reunion, clearly things weren't great because he filed for divorce damn near immediately after she filmed it. So I can see where they weren't getting along if he filed for divorce. And which also brings me back to Alexia, girl, you was sitting here acting like things were perfect and you were so blindsided. It doesn't sound like you were as blindsided as you wanted us to think you were if y'all were fighting as much as Marisol said y'all were fighting. But I understand in matters of the heart, there is no timeline. There is no expiration date. People are done when they're done and they're ready when they're ready. Like, I get it. But, girl. So let me get to my notes. All right. They talked about Lisa. Lisa, I think she was New York Fashion Week. Gertie, New York Stock Exchange. Like, I mean, great. So let me get to my notes. Okay. So we literally start off immediately with the Gertie and the water situation. Can I say something? And I know this is not going to be a popular opinion, and I know y'all not going to like what I'm getting ready to say. Gertie wore me out. Gertie had me totally exhausted by the end of this. See, here's the thing, and I said this before, y'all can go back and look at my reviews. Gertie has always irritated me, but I was team Gertie in this situation because y'all know right is right and wrong is wrong as far as I'm concerned. I take situations person by person. But Gertie, you are insufferable. You have got to stop and you got to let people talk. You got to let people talk. 2, when somebody is saying to you, what can I do? What do you want? I need you to articulate. And if you don't know what the answer is, say, right now, there's nothing you can do. Right now, I don't know. But let me just start with the water situation. I blame production for a lot of why things got so bad with public response to what happened. Because once we saw additional footage, I think, and I'm not going to speak for y'all, I'm going to speak for me. Once we saw additional footage, I think people's reaction may not have been so extreme. Had we seen the footage of Marisol telling Julia, girl, that's not cool. We can't do that. That's not cool. If we had seen the footage of Larsa and the other ladies telling Julia, that's not cool. Julia, what are you doing? Julia, no, that's not cool. I feel like if we had seen the footage of the ladies speaking up for Gertie, I honestly feel like some of us, I cannot speak for everybody, but I feel like some of us might have had a different perspective and said, you know what? I still don't like what Julia did, but I don't feel like everybody abandoned Gertie. And that's what it looked like. It looked like nobody had Gertie's back. Now, Kiki, I still feel the way I feel about you, Kiki. I'm sorry. I still feel the way I feel about you. And here's where Gertie was pissing me off. Because although I think Gertie's words were getting, I mean, not Gertie, I feel like Kiki's words were getting mixed up because she said people were calling me a racist. I don't feel like people were necessarily calling her a racist, but I understood what she was saying, right? But what she said was basically, and they played back what Gertie said when it was like, you basically were saying that you were making me look like the angry Black woman, which of course, you know, falls into that Black woman stereotype. I needed Gertie to articulate that. I needed you to, first of all, Gertie, I needed you to own it, because when they kept playing back what you were saying and showing your tweets and your retweets and showing your headlines, I needed you to own that shit. And I needed you to say, listen, when I watched it back, it took me back there and I felt how I felt. That's number one. Number two, I needed you to articulate that to Kiki to say, listen, in that moment, as my friend, I felt like you were making me the bad guy, and that hurt. See, that's what I need you to do, Gertie. I need you to be able to articulate that. Now, do I think that Gertie is obligated to teach the rest of the cast? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if Kiki is your friend, and in Kiki's mind, she said, listen, I did for Gertie what I would have done for anybody else. I would have said, listen, let's go. We need to leave this space. Get out of here. She said, I didn't do anything different with Gertie that I would have done with anybody else, yet it was perceived differently. And I needed Gertie to let Kiki understand why she felt the way she felt. That's my opinion. Now, as far as Julia and the throwing of the things, you know, can we be honest for a minute and say, when production rolled back the footage and showed all the times that things were thrown and tossed and whatever, I think there was a level of validity in the point that was made to say, listen, Gertie, it has happened with other people, and I ain't see you jumping up and down telling people don't do that. I think there was a level of validity in that. And again, all Gertie could say was, well, I think this is different. Then explain, Gertie. Articulate your words and say, listen, I hear what y'all are saying. You're absolutely correct. There were times when, because Larsa exaggerated and said she threw a glass at me. No, she didn't throw a glass at you. And then when Julia poured the ice bucket on Marisol, your point could have been, it's the same person. You're right. Maybe I could have said more, but let's focus on the fact that this is Julia and she did it to Marisol just like she did it to me. And then they showed us that footage that we heard about earlier in the season where she had a whole fit at Dr. Nicole's event last year. Remember, we heard about that, but we didn't see the footage. Baby, Julia, you got a whole anger management issue, ma'am. And either you legitimately have an anger management issue or you just trying to make a moment and trying to have a scene. I don't know which one it is. But either you legitimately have an anger issue or, ma'am, you trying to have a moment. Because all that slamming the chair, baby, they said that, Gertie said that lady broke that chair and Nicole had to pay for that chair. My issue now is that Julia can throw shit at everyone and nothing gets done. That's a problem. Exactly, Cheryl. Exactly. That's the issue. And I think Gertie kept bringing that up, which people were sort of ignoring. But Gertie did bring that point up. I wonder what her daughters would say about Julia's temperament. Katie? I told you it was more to them stories with them daughters, but okay. So then we get to Gertie's event and the text messages. Again, Gertie, when Andy said to you, what point were you trying to make with the messages? I needed you to articulate that. Don't say, oh, it doesn't matter, Andy. It doesn't matter, Andy. It does. See, again, Gertie, because you have spent so much time litigating this in the court of public opinion, that when you were at the reunion, at the moment that it mattered, you were no longer interested. Because she even turned to Adriana and said, the viewers know. The viewers know. You're not talking to the viewers at the reunion. You're talking to each other at the reunion, and you're trying to resolve it at the reunion. That's the purpose. So don't say, oh, well, the viewers know what I was trying to say. Articulate it in that moment and say, listen, the point I was trying to make was this was never about that cruise, because you can look at those messages and see that what happened in that cruise. You can see that she invited me. I didn't invite myself. You can see that she left me stranded. You can see from the multiple messages that I was like, I wasn't rude to her. I wasn't throwing a fit. I wasn't being a diva. All the things that you claim that I did. You can see from the messages that I tried to get back on the Zoom call, even though you said I dropped off the Zoom call. I tried to get back on the Zoom call. See, that is what I needed you to articulate, Gertie. Because again, she was like, they don't read. They don't read. Well, then tell them. That is listen, if you wasn't going to participate in the exercise of the reunion, girl, you should have just not come. Because you knew what it was. You knew the questions they were going to ask you. You knew what they were going to talk about. That is what the purpose is. Mia said it was a gang up on Gertie. It was planned and executed. Andy seemed pissed at Gertie to me. I really expected more of her, but that may not be her personality. I'm going to be honest, Mia. I hear what you're saying, but I feel like had Gertie articulated herself, it really wasn't a gang up. And let me tell you why it wasn't a gang up. In my opinion, you have a right to your opinion. I wrote in my notes, there are clear lines. You can tell that the side of the couch where Gertie was sitting, everybody on that side of the couch had Gertie's back. Lisa and Adriana, and they were both trying to tell Gertie, just say it, Gertie, explain it, tell it. They had her back, and they were not part of the gang up. Now, do I think that Alexia, Marisol, and Julia were part? Yeah, but they've been doing that all season. And Alexia and Marisol are going to always be a pair. I don't care what nobody say. If you see one, you see two. You see two, you see the other. They're going to always be, and they're going to always speak in unison. Whatever one say, the other one's going to say. So, but you ain't going to never get the division between the two of them. I mean, I don't know who on that cast will get the division between the two of them. But when they show the footage showing that other people did actually sort of have her back, Gertie, I need you in that moment to say, listen, I didn't feel protected in that moment. It's okay to say that because they're going to defend themselves, because we have to understand that they have been getting drugged. At this point, by the time they filmed this reunion, every single one of them had gotten drugged in the court of public opinion, all on Twitter, all on Blue Sky, all on Instagram, all of them. So they're going to come ready to defend them. They was called racist and everything else. They're going to come ready to defend themselves. But that's why I need Gertie to be like, nope. This is what the text messages said. And this is why I showed the text messages, because Julia was still lying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they were right. I'm just saying I felt like Gertie could have done a better job of articulating it. It was exhausting to watch, y'all. It really was exhausting to watch. And Andy kept saying to Gertie, I think Andy was getting irritated because he kept asking her every time he asked her a question, Gertie wouldn't answer it. So I could see where he was getting frustrated. He said, well, what do the text messages show? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And they were like, but he's asking you. Tell him. And then when they were talking about with the Kiki thing, she shut down. When they were talking about the messages, she shut down. It's like, oh no, when they were talking about, well, what do you need from Julia? She shut down. I can understand him getting frustrated because it was like pulling fucking blood out of a turnip at that point. It's like, and it's okay to say, listen, Julia, I'm still hurt and there is no resolve today. It's okay to say that, but I needed you to fucking say it. You just wouldn't say it. You were just like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does matter. That's why we here. It's okay, Quake. I know you doing a triple duty. You working out, and you you got us on Diddy Watch, and you trying to be in here, child. Let me read the comments and before we move on. We also need to understand that we're not seeing everything that was said that night because of editing. She looked and sounded so flustered that I have a feeling that a lot went on that we are not aware of. That's a valid point. That may be why they didn't fool with her. Really be you should teach a class on how to effectively communicate. Child, these people frustrate me. Monique can bring charm school energy. Gertie needs to get coached to talk her parts, and Julia can shut down property the way she needs to be. Gertie needed help forming her words. I'm convinced she has ADHD. She might, child. They they say down and prepared. The other side didn't. She should have said, I had no idea what y'all said anything to her. No one said it in front of me. Now she did eventually say that. She said, y'all could have done it in front of me. But then that's when they showed the clip of Larsa doing it in front of her. See, that's the other part I needed Gertie to do. Listen, Gertie, we on your side. I am. I'm still on your side, Gertie. I still think that the way that that was handled was fucked up. I still think that Julia was on some bullshit from day one. I'm still on your side. But when they said, listen, and I know they don't see the footage is spliced in later. But when Larsa was like, girl, that's not true. You know, I said something in that moment. All Gertie could say was, well, I don't remember that. And then when they showed Gertie her text message when she mentioned Julia's kids and renaming the kids, they literally, and again, I know they spliced this stuff in later, but Julia was like, you said it, you tweeted it, you said it. And Gertie was like, I don't remember saying that. I didn't say that. I don't remember saying that. Girl, I need you to own it. I mean, and again, it's okay to say, well, I felt how I felt. Like, I didn't think it was right that y'all changed them kids' names. You got a right to your opinion. Hell, Martina brought her ass down and told everybody she didn't think that surrogacy was of God. I'm paraphrasing. I know she didn't use those words, but I'm just saying she came down here and gave her opinion on surrogacy. So you had a right to say I didn't think that they should have. Those boys were old enough; they knew their name, and I don't think they should have changed those boys' names. She got a right to her opinion, but you sat there and was like, I don't remember saying that, and maybe you didn't, but I understand in the heat of the moment you don't probably remember anything anybody said, including yourself. So I give her grace on that one. I do give her grace because I understand that we get the benefit of seeing the footage. They're literally just talking about it. So I do understand that. But I also, and here's where I'm still on Gertie's side, you guys. I'm just frustrated. I was upset for Gertie because I needed Gertie to shut them fuckers down. And I don't feel like she did that. You see what I'm saying? I'm with Gertie. I'm still team Gertie on this. But I wanted to see her be like, boom, 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 and just leave the crumbs. And she didn't do that, in my opinion. In my opinion. Because by the time it was over with, and then Gertie started doing that shit that because she started off really good with saying, I'm going to listen more than I'm going to talk. But then she started talking. And you're right, Cali girl, stuff was probably edited. We didn't see the evolution of how she went from, I'm not going to say nothing, to her over talking. But once Gertie goes there, like once you start over talking people and not letting people finish their conversation, you've kind of lost. But make no mistakes, I'm still team Gertie, and I still think it was some effed up mess that was done to her this season. I still feel like Julia is playing victim, and even at the end, she was like, Gertie, I've apologized. What? And Larsa was like, she's apologized. What more do you want? See, here's why I know I would never be good on a reality TV show. Because once somebody what's up, boo? Once somebody crosses me, I'm good on it. That's why I know I wouldn't be good on a reality TV show, because I can't do that back and forth. And I feel like Gertie is probably very much like me in the sense of, yeah, I'm kind of done with you. And I know that if I want to stay on this show, I got to figure out a way to still be cool with you, at least for the purposes of the show. But right now, in this moment, I can't fake it. And I'm cool with that. I'm definitely cool with that. But I needed her to just say it. Don, you shut your live down. We ain't got no sentencing yet. I'm sorry. Hold on, y'all. Sorry about that. Okay, thank y'all. Somebody sent me a picture. I had to check anyway. So that frustrated me from that perspective. But like I said, I'm still Team Gertie, and I still think the way that whole thing went was effed up. And I don't think that Andy started off frustrated. I think that he ended up frustrated. I do. But okay, let's move on. Okay, let me make sure. Let me get all my notes. Gertie, social media, Kiki, Gertie. People didn't speak up. Production. See, I wrote production, and then I also wrote exhausting. The word exhausting I wrote in my notes because it was exhausting. Okay. So then we have Stephanie. Stephanie says she never worked with that. All of the stuff on Reddit, well, she didn't say all of it. She said the stuff on Reddit was a lie about her working for Mussad's ex-wife. She said she's never even met that woman. She ain't never worked for that woman, and that is just not true. Now, she ain't say nothing about the lawsuits and the money, but she said that part is not true. Um, when they brought up the whole thing about the money piece of it, she said I work hard to live the life that I live, and I'm not ashamed of it. And yes, I'm gonna put it in your face. That's what I heard. Now, if y'all heard something different, that's what I heard. She said, I work hard for my money, eat it. Now I'm sure we're gonna dig deeper into the plane of it all later on, because if that's all they're gonna give Stephanie as far as the plane, I mean, they asked her about her sisters, and she said that she still doesn't have a relationship with her sisters. She says she's reached out, but it really has been no whole lot of headway with that. Um, uh, they never asked if she changed her name to his name before men. Yeah, they didn't ask that. I'm trying to think. It was something else they said as it relates to the money or whatever. But I hope we get deeper into that about just the crassness of it and her throwing it in people's face and using it as a weapon. Um, Andy asked her, looking back on it, did you feel like, did you learn anything? And she basically was like, I just learned that my tone can be a little harsh. Girl, bye. Again, don't know why she got first chair. Um, and then I even wrote in my notes, Gertie should have been first chair. I wrote in my notes. Okay. Then Lisa's segment comes up. There's really nothing new here with Lisa, if I'm being honest. Lisa said that she's starting to learn how to manage her time better, and she's going to therapy. And Andy was like, "But girl, you've been doing this for years. Like it took you till now to know that you were making people late. Like, okay." And then they brought up the Sarah, Andy, and Andy. Here's where I think, on one hand, I get what you did, Andy, but on the other hand, I feel like, yes, you are the moderator for the reunion or the host for the reunion, but I still feel like you could have thrown your own 2 cents in this conversation. When you asked Lisa about the comment that Martina made about surrogacy, Andy, the fact that that's how you got both of your children, I feel like you could have tapped in. I understand that you're not the whole, I mean, that this show's not about you, but I feel like you could have tapped in. But what you did was you lobbed it to Lisa, knowing good and damn well Lisa wasn't going to say nothing. Lisa was like, it disturbed me a little bit because, that is how I got my children. So yeah, the comment did bother me. Lisa wasn't going to say nothing. But I feel like you could have put your 2 cents in. And I think he did on Watch What Happens Live. He sort of made like a little snide comment about it when it first happened. But I just feel like you could have tapped in on that one, Andy. So then Julia's going to say, well, she took it down. Girl, her taking it down is not the problem. The fact that she posted it is the problem. The fact that she feels that way is the problem. So then she's going to say, well, that is something that me and Martina, we do disagree on that. Oh, so Martina feels like she still feel the way she feels about surrogacy. You didn't say, well, she sees things differently now. Well, she's done some research and she has evolved. Mm-mm. You said, well, she took it down, and that's something that me and Martina we disagree about. Oh, so she still feel that way. Oh, okay. Mm. Mm. Okay then. So then they ask about the adoption with Julia and Adriana. I'm not even sure how we got on this, if I'm being honest, but Adriana and Julia get to arguing, and they brought up the adoption of the kids and the godfathers. And Andy says, "Well, did you do they have a godmother yet?" And Julia and you saw Andy walked her right into this, and she was like, "No," and she was like, "Well, did you ever consider asking Adriana?" Baby Julia was like, "No." Baby Adriana got her feelings. She said, "Oh, well, that's even more hurtful." She was like, "I asked you to be the godmother to Basquiat, your dog." Listen, I know that y'all dog lovers put y'all dogs on the same level as people's children. I understand that that's how y'all feel. I understand that is how y'all feel. Now, I have never had a dog for any length of time. So I don't have them same thoughts and feelings that y'all dog lovers have about y'all pets. But let me be clear, and let me be very clear. Don't you never compare your dog to my child. And I understand somebody gonna have a problem with this. Somebody gonna leave a comment. Don't you ever compare being a godmother to my child to me being the godmother to your dog. And that's not taking away your relationship with your dog, but let's not. And Adriana, you have kids. Girl, stop. You knew when you said it that was some bullshit. You have kids. So Julia was like, I'm about to shut all this shit down. You can tell that Julia came into that knowing she was going to spill this tea. You could tell that Julia showed up at this reunion knowing she was going to drop this tea. You know, she was just waiting. She was just waiting for the minute for it to come around to her. Because, baby, she said, Andy, because Andy must have asked Adriana how she felt about it or some shit. I don't know. And Julia was like, can I speak? Can I speak? And Adriana was like, he asked me the question. And Lisa was like, yeah, he asked her the question. And I said, that's why I said you could tell that they were distinct sides. The people on this side and the people on that side, right? Baby, Adriana answered that question. We don't even care what her answer was. Right. She stood up straight in that chair. She was ready. And baby, Andy said, well, what were you going to say, Julia? Julia said, I think I can shed some light on this whole Adriana situation. She said, Andy, when we were in the Hamptons, Adriana and I slept together. Mic drop. Baby, everybody face went. Except for Larsa. I don't think Larsa could move her face. Y'all go back and look at that clip. Everybody face moved except for Larsa. I don't know if Larsa could physically have moved her face to do this. I don't know. I think she might have had too much Botox and shit. Fillers. I don't think she could physically do it. But everybody face went. And the fact that they gave us that on part 1, and they said that next, Andy said on Watch What Happens Live last night, that next week, what happened at the end of the episode leads into even more revelations next week. Now, I hope they're not overhyping it, because I don't know how y'all gonna top this one. I don't know how y'all gonna top this one. But baby, when Julia said that her and Adriana slept together, can I say this though? I 100% believe it. I know Adriana, I saw the previews for next week. Adriana saying it's a lie. I don't believe it's a lie. I 100% believe it. And I'm going to tell you why I 100% believe it. Y'all can go back to my reviews from season, 4, 5, whatever the first season was. They came back after, when they got the reboot. Y'all can go back to my reviews. I said it then. I said, they act like they done slept together. I said it then. I've been saying that. The way Adriana has been acting about Julia from the beginning seemed weird. And the kissing, remember they kissed and that whole friend wedding, their friend, whatever they called it, friend marriage or whatever the shit was. Baby, that shit has been weird from the beginning. I've been telling y'all from the beginning, I think that their situation is deeper than what they telling us. Now, do I think that Adriana was ready to fully plunge into the lady pool and run off with her, rainbow flag into the sunset? Maybe not. Maybe not. But I believe that they did sleep together, and I don't believe it happened only one time. And then they said, I don't know if this was the preview for next week or if this was actually on the episode. Somebody asked about Martina, and she said, well, me and Martina weren't in a good place when this happened. Our marriage wasn't in a good place when this happened. So I feel like Martina knew. Like, I 100% feel like Martina knows. But let me be honest and tell you this. I don't know when Julia told Martina. But that might explain why Martina really don't fuck with Adriana. Have y'all paid attention these last couple of seasons? Martina don't really fuck with Adriana like that. Now, I think at the reunion, that first season reunion, they asked Martina about the flirting, and she was like, well, she's a flirt. She played it down. I don't think she knew then. And it might not have actually had happened then. I just felt like that. But baby, in my opinion, I believe it. Now, I know people are going to debate whether they think Julia's telling the truth or Adriana's telling the truth. The fact is, both of them are liars. So when you got two liars, you just got to figure out who you think you believe, because both of their asses are liars. But on this one, I don't think Julia's lying. I really don't. I think her and Adriana have played around again. I'm not no lesbian, so I don't understand everything about how lesbians have sex. Not my business. Whatever makes you happy, whatever gets you to the mountaintop, don't care. But I think that they have touched each other in a sexual manner that is inappropriate for a married woman and for people that claim they're just friends? I absolutely do. And do I think that it has happened more than once? I absolutely do. She threw herself under the bus to stay on the show. I think it's a combination, Auntie, excuse me. I don't think it was just to stay on the show. I honestly feel like she is sick of Adriana, and I think Adriana holds that over her head. See, it's kind of like when Kevin Hart was getting blackmailed and he came down here and said, yeah, look, I cheated on my wife, but what you're not going to do is hold it over my head for the rest of my life. I did it. I already talked to my wife. I'll deal with the consequences between me and my family. But what you're not going to do is hold it over my head. That's what's not going to happen. Now, I know later on we found out it was more to that story. That's another conversation for another day. But I'm just using this as a basic example, right? I really believe that. I honestly feel like Adriana has been did you remember when they showed the clip of Julia saying that she's tight? She said in front of the camera, Adriana acts like my best friend. But behind the scenes, she berates me. She yells at me. She guilts me. She talks crazy to me. And she said, I'm sick of it. I think that's part of the yelling, berating. I think that's the part she didn't say. But I think that's part of it. I do believe she's trying to save her job. I do. But I also think part of it is you're not going to keep holding this over my head. So I think that before the reunion, Julia let Martina know, I'm letting it out. I'm telling it because I'm sick of her. And I think the Gertie situation probably added to it because I guess she was like, I can't say much about this Gertie situation because I did that. I did that. I fucked that up. But Adriana, no ma'am. I ain't getting beat up on both sides now. I gotta take I gotta take the Gertie beating because I did it. I fucked it up. I gotta take that Gertie beating. But Adriana, no ma'am. I'm not taking that. You're not gonna sit here. That's what we not gonna do. I'm not gonna sit on this couch and let you drag me for And I think she made a conscious decision before she got on that plane that the minute she had the opportunity, she was gonna spill it. That's my opinion. To be honest, in my opinion, Julia was only saying this to keep her job and also to throw Adriana under the bus because they're not friends anymore. And Adriana, girl, just admit it. Just admit it, girl. Always bring the bad news. Don't let no one else tell it. Listen, they say spray. That's one thing I do agree with Funky Dineva on is spray yourself with your own tea, honey. Spray yourself with your own tea. I agree, Quake. I think that's why she was sitting in that dressing room having that meltdown because not just because of everything that had happened on social media, but she knew what she was about to do. And she probably didn't know how it was going to go. But I believe her. I do. I really believe her because, well, for all the reasons I've already said, I believe her. But I also believe her because she has nothing to gain by doing this. I mean, I understand y'all saying she wants to save her job. That's true. But she has nothing to gain by doing this. I mean, okay, her job, but now she's going to be a cheater. People already have a nasty, people already feel how they feel about Julia, right? You're not changing people's opinion about you. So why would you give people more things to have an issue with or be angry about? Why would you give them more? You see what I'm saying? I mean, you already don't like me. Why am I going to give you more ammunition to not like me? That's how I feel. But that was pretty much the episode, y'all. That was part 1. Y'all know we got 3 parts, honey. Then we got 3 parts. Tonight is Bell Collective. Y'all told me Bell Collective didn't start till next week. I told y'all it started this week. And when I say y'all, I'm talking about the people who said it. If it ain't none of y'all, then I ain't talking to y'all. But I'm talking to the people who said, oh, no, it don't start. Yes, it does. It starts tonight, October the 3rd. So we'll be here tonight after it's over to talk about Bell Collective. I believe I have my live set for 9:30, I think. I have to double check with JB, but tomorrow we are going to do Beyond the Gates. I believe it's tonight. Isn't it? Hold on. Look, now I done fussed at y'all and let me make sure. Because I feel like Bell Collective used to come on Saturday night. But hold on. Let me make sure. Before we get off here, I do have the live set for tonight, though. I think I Googled it. That's why when I set the live, I had Googled it. Like, what is the premiere? But let me Google it again, honey, because, people be like, really be Bell Collective. Oh, Lord. Spell collective right, child. Okay, thank you, Cheryl. It's tonight. Okay, thank you. It is tonight. Now, I'm about to get off of here. I got to wash some, I got to wash some clothes because I got to start packing, child. Put a load of clothes in the wash. I'll start cooking my dinner. I think I'm going to make cabbage for dinner tonight. I'm start cooking my dinner. When the Diddy verdict come down, I'm sure 5,000 people are going to go live, but I'm sure we're going to go live too, and we're going to talk about it, okay? We're going to talk about it. And then at 9:15, we'll do Bell Collective. Like I said, Beyond the Gate should be tomorrow. And I don't really have anything, at least as far as I know, unless something pops up. I don't have a whole lot going on this weekend. So I may be able to get caught up. I was going to surprise y'all But I'm gonna go ahead and tell the people who's in here. I was gonna surprise y'all with it, but I'm gonna go ahead and do reasonable doubt. And y'all better watch the damn reviews. You doing fried fish and potatoes tonight? Ooh, sure. Okay, girl. You know, sure don't live that far from me. I might have to go get a plate. Speaking of which, I need to call Busy and check on him. I know he was recuperating after CBC last week. I have to check on my busy boo. See what he got going on. All right, y'all. Let me get off of here. But yeah, I'll be back. Cause. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace. You coming to my house with some cabbage? Come on. Call before you come, though. You know what I mean? Call before you come.